Ladies and gentlemen, please do not adjust your tones, do not adjust your frequencies. What you hearing coming right into your beautiful ears is the sounds of the Cheap Pop Wrestling Podcast. I am Dakota, back with my co-hosts John and Ken. Join us today as we recap Raw, SmackDown, a little bit of AEW, and then interview our guest star, OVW wrestler the Mammoth. John, take it away.
All right. So, what we're going to get into first is the sale of WWE. Potential sellers or potential buyers from them are Saudi Arabia, one of their groups over there. Ken, do you have any more information on that? I think Disney, and there's a couple more.
Disney, I do believe the Khan family is now in the runnings for that. Disney is now emerging as a top name as well. But we also have Netflix, Amazon, Endeavor, Jesus, Devor Group Holdings, Warner Bros, Fox, Comcast, NBC, Universal. But it's seeming like the Khans, Disney, Saudi Arabia Investment Group are the front runners to be finalizing the sale. I know they've agreed to terms with Saudi Arabia Investment Fund, but nothing's finalized there yet.
Yeah, literally anyone but Saudi Arabia, because everybody's going to jump ship if that happens.
Without a doubt. So that also comes on the heels of Stephanie McMahon stepping down as chairwoman, co-chairwoman, and Nick Khan taking over full reins. I think it was to help make this sale transition a little smoother. But from what I'm seeing is Disney, Saudi Arabia Investment Fund are kind of leading the Khan family are kind of leading the way there on that sale.
Like, when you say Khan family, you mean like Tony Khan?
Tony Khan, Nick Khan, and what's the other one?
Well, Nick Khan's the CEO of WWE right now.
Right. Tony Khan, owner of AEW. I think they're all in there together.
Alrighty. Donovan, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, just purely out of speculation, one might assume that, Stephanie stepping down, it's got to point a little bit towards possible sell to Saudi Arabia, just because, obviously she's a big proponent of women's wrestling. And while women's wrestling is starting to get a little bit in Saudi Arabia, like the crown jewel shows and stuff like that, gotta imagine that that's going to be real tough to keep a lot of the women on the show. As far as if they do sell there, a lot of the guys, including like Sami Zayn, people like that, Mustafa Ali, people like that who have, obvious reasons why they wouldn't want to work for a company that would sell to Saudi Arabia. But that's just speculation. That's just me guessing because, Stephanie McMahon's been with WWE for pretty much her whole life. So for her to resign entirely from the company kind of gives me the indication that she doesn't like the direction that they're about to go in.
Yeah, I'm hoping for maybe a sell to Disney, but it is what it is.
As we tweeted out earlier, we called Mickey Mouse versus Roman Reigns in a Hell in a Cell match for the first match. Once the sale's final.
Yeah.
I would prefer Disney over the other options, but it would be pretty crazy if the Khans and AEW did buy out WWE, get a little NWO, or not NWO, but WCW, WWE, or at the time WWF rewind kind of deal. It would be pretty entertaining.
Interesting to see.
All right. Dakota, anything you want to add?
No, I really don't have much else to say about it. I didn't follow it that closely during the week. I just kind of saw the big snippets that would pop up everywhere.
Alrighty. Next, we're going to throw it to SmackDown. Ken, I'm going to let you take it from here.
All right, we're just going to run through this kind of quickly here. So we started Raw with Roman Reigns, getting Zammy in front of the bloodline a little bit, starting to see that crack in the armor between those two. Santo Escobar defeating Kofi Kingston via interruption and stuff. There was a couple back and forth, which you always get when you have managers and people beside you. Yeah, Karrion Kross and Scarlett defeating Madcap Moss and Emma in a Max tag team match. Karrion at the end, called out Ray, put the mask on Madcap, and, told him time's ticking, tick-tock. Charlotte Flair defeated Sonya Deville in a SmackDown Women's Championship match via figure 8 leg lock. Then we had Ricochet and Top Dollar in a Royal Rumble qualifying match with Ricochet defeating Top Dollar, which led to Hit Row's heel turn, which then led to Braun Strowman coming out to the aid of Ricochet, setting up a pretty unique tag team right there, in my opinion. And then the main event there, we had the Usos taking on Drew McIntyre and Sheamus for the championship belts. Very, very good match between the four of them. Got a little interference there from Solo on Drew McIntyre. But that was pretty much it for SmackDown. What are y'all's thoughts, guys? Let's armchair this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the hell they're doing with with Top Dollar in that group. They were so much better with Swerve, but I mean, it is what it is. They keep trying to push them, or they keep trying to give them like TV time. Honestly, it's pretty bad.
Well, it's hard
They
to
need a
keep
leader
up.
real bad.
Yes.
Yeah, whenever Swerve's contract ends with AEW, they should definitely try to bring him back because this group needs somebody. They're awful.
Yeah. I mean, none of them have much experience, I don't think, but they just don't have personality, really. They do the little money thing, and that's about all they got at the moment. I think doing a heel turn can help them, just because the character kind of lends itself to being a heel instead of being a baby, but I don't know. They're just probably going to wash if they don't get somebody else in there.
Right.
I think they're trying to keep them relevant right now. So,
Yeah.
but Charlotte looked good in her title defense. I do believe the crowd has some choice words for Sonya Deville in the beginning. I think it was something that Trick, referring to her, but
Oh yeah, I
turned out
saw that.
turned out to be a pretty good match. But the main event, I think, was just a great match. We talked about it last podcast. I called out that I thought Drew McIntyre and Sheamus would, if they didn't beat him, they'd give him a pretty good run, and I think they really took the Usos to the edge there on that. The interference by Solo, as always, and then taking Drew out, just let Sheamus kind of 1-on-2 there for a little bit.
Yep. Back to the Karrion Kross thing. I think he can legitimately be a main eventer eventually. They gotta book him right. I think that character has a whole lot of potential.
See,
I
for me,
agree.
I don't think it's. I bet Donovan. Go ahead, buddy.
I was just gonna say I agree. I think that whole match needed to be a whole lot different than what it was, because Madcap putting up a little bit of a fight, that's fine and everything, but like the week prior, they put on this Emma talking to Karrion and Scarlett saying all these things, and then Karrion saying you have no idea what you've done kind of deal, setting up for Scarlett's in-ring debut, and more or less Emma just beat her up the whole time, and then Scarlett got a couple of moves in. I didn't think that that's how that should have went, personally. I think that you got to book those characters right, because if you don't book them right, then they just seem like they're anybody else on the show. Same thing with like Bray Wyatt. People like that have a hard time, maintaining their character if they just get beat up by anybody.
Right.
Yeah. I think for me though, I think they got somewhat of a good start on the booking stuff, with they can always do like the hourglass and stuff like that. But I think my biggest thing for Kerry, man, like he just needs to get there and just be big. He's a very technical type wrestler, but he's big enough to where he can kind of do these throws and stuff. And I think that's honestly what's holding him back, is he's just not wrestling to his size. And I think that's what's kind of getting people down right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. Dakota, anything you want to add to that?
Not about the show overall. No, not really. Kind of covered. I just want to know who the fuck thought the idea of Banger Bros was a good goddamn tag team name. That's all I want. Someone answer that to me. You know what you did. You know what you did.
I got no answer for you, bro.
I don't think anybody has an answer on that one.
No.
That was my only question.
All right,
Well-
we're gonna transition over into Raw. I'm gonna go ahead and take it from here. Started off with KO versus Baron Corbin. Kevin Owens got the W, and then Kevin Owens proceeded to beat up on the Bloodline, which was pretty nice to see. And then Mia Yim or Mi Chen, whichever the name they feel like going with that week, versus Bailey. Bailey ended up winning. Austin Theory cut a promo. Then Seth Rollins came out. And if you've been following social media for the last week or so, it's been rumored that Seth Rollins is probably injured. He came out to the ring with crutches and then dropped his crutches on the way to the ring, kind of pulling a Wonka on everybody. And then as soon as he started heading up the ramp, Bobby Lashley came out and then speared the living hell out of Theory. Man, Theory can sell a spear like nobody else. And then the next match was Rhea Ripley versus Candice LeRae. Rio ended up winning that one. MVP met with Bobby Lashley backstage, hinted towards the Hurt Business coming back. God, I hope so. Then Solo beat up on Dolph Ziggler. That was a pretty good match. And then Dominic Mysterio is back out of prison. If you all have been following that cringe fest, he's out. And they cut a pretty long promo, a little long for my like, but it is what it is. And then the tag team turmoil match started with Gallows and Anderson versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest. The Judgment Day ended up getting the win. And then Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin came out to the ring. And Judgment Day won that one as well. Alpha Academy came out soon after that. Judgment Day won that one. And then the Street Profits put on a show and ended up coming up short to the Judgment Day. Guys, y'all have any thoughts on that one?
I'll lead off on that one. Talking about that tag team, turmoil. Finn Balor and Balor and Damian Priest were the ones leading that, and then when they faced Alpha Academy, Chad Gable was pulled on top by Finn Balor while Otis delivered that splash move, injuring Balor, which then led to Dominique becoming part of the match for the last two.
Right.
Not a strong wrestler, man. Not a strong wrestler.
Yeah, I really wanted to leave that out because I didn't want to just take a total shit on Donovan the entire time. But
he's
Dominic, not I'm sorry, Dominic. I'm sorry, I got
Yeah,
the names
no.
mixed up there.
No, I get it.
Donovan, you're a way better wrestler than Dominic Mysterio is.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, I'm just more, I wonder if they're not trying to set the Judgment Day up in a similar arc as they've done with the Bloodline, Maybe the tag team championships fall to Dominique and Damian Priest while Finn Balor gets back into the main event card world. Because he had the championship for a little bit there and he got injured, right? He wasn't champion very long, right? From memory serves me correct.
24 hours, yeah.
Yeah, so I love Finn Balor. I think he's got a great opportunity. He's one of the better ones on the roster. So I could see it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happen. One thing I did notice was backstage when Adam Pearce was, scolding the Usos and the Solo Sikoa, he mentioned that the winner of Tag Team Turmoil would face them for the Raw tag titles. So by the sounds of it, maybe they're going to split those back up, maybe have the Judgment Day win, probably have Sami Zayn or something like that kind of cost the Usos, get a little bit more of the rift between him and Roman Reigns going. That'd probably be my thoughts. As far as the match goes, I thought it was good. I was really hoping that the Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander were going to be the last team out, and Bobby was going to come out and help them win.
Man, I was hoping for that too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was really hoping for it because Hurt Business Bloodline feud would be a whole lot better than Judgment Day Bloodline, in my opinion, just because, Finn Balor's already faced Roman Reigns once, which I guess Bobby has too, but, Judgment Day Finn Balor doesn't really pose too much of a threat, though I would be interested to see what Judgment Day Demon Finn Balor would look like. But
gosh, dude. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
What-
that could be sick. Come out with like all purple and black instead of like the red and black. Might be pretty
That
interesting.
would look, yeah.
Yep. I'm hoping
Just a-
for some good long-term booking to set that up, but it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Well, see, I'm just wondering if like the bloodline's not going to be ending towards this year, and you're going to have two more stables kind of jump in and take over. You know, like because Judgment Day really hasn't been doing a whole lot lately, and I think with possible splitting of titles and losses coming down their way, I think they're going to need a couple stables to kind of pick up the slack where they fall off.
Yep. Did you all see the moves that Montez Ford pulled off towards the end of that match?
Oh, jumping over the whole turnbuckle and landing.
That and man, just the all-around ring work and just the athleticism. He is. Once he gets out of the tag team division, this dude's gonna go straight to the top. Like this man is crazy athletic, and I don't know. He's like a bigger Ricochet. Like
Yes.
it's incredible to see.
For sure,
Yeah.
especially if they put him and Bianca together, maybe turn him heel a little bit. Then I think he could really have a singles run, which makes me sad for Dawkins because I don't really see much for him other than like the obvious. Montez turns on him, they have a feud, and then Dawkins goes into like the mid card and eventually just kind of washes out. And
Oh man,
it's possible he can make something for himself, but it seems like every time they split up a tag team, they just gotta bury one guy pretty much, and then the other one takes off. But
he could go back and like reinvent himself because it's there. He's super skilled as well. Like Dawkins can do. I mean, a lot of the same things that Montez can do.
yeah,
So do you think they push him down to NXT?
I mean, that might be better for him because I think he can run that NXT division down there and beat Braun Breaker.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm reaching too much here.
Waller beats him, but
Yeah,
damn. But what they could do if they really wanted to is like have them two split, have the feud, have the draft, send Dawkins over to SmackDown, and he could be Hit Row's leader. All of that little issue right there.
dude, that's perfect. Yes.
That's a good jump there.
Because he's got personality on like Top Dollar and Ashanti the Adonis. And B-Fab kind of has some, but like not enough to be, a leader.
We're gonna call that a hot take. So if you see it, you heard it here first.
That's actually perfect though. I didn't think about doing it that way, but yeah, man, that's perfect.
That just crossed my mind right now.
Yeah. Dakota, anything you want to add to that?
And once again, to be boring after I ran out of breath during the beginning of it, but I didn't get to watch Raw this week. Been kind of busy.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, I plan on watching it tonight after we get done here.
Well, you got a full list of spoilers, but
It's fine.
But all right, next segment. Donovan, we're going to start this off with a Q&A session with you. First of all, that OVW Nightmare Rumble was absolutely fantastic. I went there a couple years ago, and honestly, it wasn't great. Me and my buddy left a few hours early. Actually, we got there the first hour it started, and then we left immediately. It was horrible. This one we stayed for the entire time. Me and Dakota went. We had a good time. It was pretty entertaining. OVW's changing for the good. I like what I'm seeing. There's a lot of talent there, including you. But we're going to start this off with a Q&A session. I want to start off with how do you balance doing a full-time job, competing in strongman, which you've went to nationals twice now, and doing wrestling as well?
that's a good question. I wish I had the real good answer for that. But so basically, weekly schedule looks like Monday morning, getting up at 6, working from 7 to 5, and then going straight from there to wrestling class from 6 to 8. Then going to the gym after that and doing about 2 hours of workout. Tuesday, work 7 to 5, straight to the gym. Wednesday, 7 to 5, work, and then to the gym, or not to the gym, but to wrestling class from 6 to 8. Take the day off from the gym then. I work 4 10-hour shifts at work, so I take Thursdays off now because we have our weekly show on Thursday. So I go to the gym, then come back, get dressed and showered and everything, head to OVW. That show goes, I'm supposed to be there from 4 p.m. until we leave, which is usually around 10 p.m. Then next morning, 7 to 5 again for work, and then to the gym. And then I take weekends off unless it's during probably March through early November. We do a lot of road shows and house shows, and those will typically be on Saturdays and Sundays, anywhere from a 30-minute drive to the furthest one I went to was 4.5 hours away. So
I just got a follow-up question for you, Donovan, just because one of the questions I wanted to ask. So, growing up, I was always interested, in wrestling. I was a wrestling fan since I was a kid, and wanted to pursue that path. But I just wasn't one of those super athletic guys that could have done the stuff that you guys do on a day-to-day basis. But we talk about the wrestling class. So can you just kind of give us like an inside of like what one of those wrestling classes pertain to, kind of like what the training regimen's like and stuff like that?
yeah, for sure. So when I first started about 3 or 4 years ago now, I went through the first ever Al Snow Wrestling Academy combine. So we did like blow up drills and vertical jump, some like regular football combine stuff, so bench press and 40-yard dash, stuff like that. Then we had a draft. I was the 10th pick, first guy picked that had no real wrestling experience. So after that draft, we went into anybody who didn't have wrestling experience went to the beginners class. That's where we learned, taking bumps, hitting the ropes, basic stuff, some chain wrestling, working holds, and wrestling like, real basic matches, stuff like that. At the end of that, you had to be able to demonstrate that you had good knowledge of everything that they taught you. So all your rolls, all your bumps, any kind of basic stuff you had to be able to do on the fly with him, the teacher calling it. And then if you passed, you moved on to the intermediate class, and that's where you start, doing a little bit more advanced stuff, being able to like throw together a match while you're, standing around at class. You can put together a 7-minute match or something like that with anybody and be able to go in there and actually perform it. You learn a few more moves. For the most part at OVW, we're not really a move kind of company. So if you want to learn a different kind of move, you got to bring it up to whoever's teaching the class. And if they know how to do it, then they'll show you, and you go through it and practice it, stuff like that. But for the most part, we are more about work and being able to understand how to work with, getting the most out of doing the least kind of thing. And then at the end of that, you had to be able to, in order to pass the class, you needed to do a 15-minute match. So by the end of that intermediate class, when it started, there were 6 of us in the intermediate class. And by the end of it, there was just me and one other guy. So we had our 15-minute match, and they bumped us up to the advanced class. Once you get to the advanced class, it's basically you go in, you stretch, you warm up, you hit the ropes, you do a couple blow-up drills, and then for the most part, we're just calling matches on the fly. You get in the ring, and the instructor will tell you, hey, you got a 10-minute match. I want this guy to win. You're the face, you're the heel. Do whatever you want. Heel calls the match, and you just go. And that's where we really learn how to work, how to understand who you're working with, how to understand how to work the crowd a little bit. And, for me, getting my size over, always a pretty easy story to tell. But when he wants somebody else going over, I got to think of ways that he can go over on me that would make sense because I'm a shoot strong man, so and I'm big, 330 pounds, and everybody else in the class is at most like 250. So hypothetically, in order for them to beat me, I have to give them a way in order to beat me that makes sense. So that's kind of how our classes go. We'll go in, because now I'm in the advanced class. We go in, we hit the ropes, we do our stretches, do a couple blow up drills, like, jumping in and out of the ring over the ropes and hitting the ropes, doing drop down leapfrogs, doing up and overs in the corner. And then we go straight into either doing a drill of some kind or we just jump straight into calling matches on the fly. And our coach will send heels to one side of the ring and baby faces to the other side of the ring. That way we can't communicate with each other before we get in there.
Not like cheating on the test, then, trying to slip each other some cues or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna follow up with one more question, if you don't mind here. If you could just walk me through like a day, like the last pay-per-view you guys had. So it's like walk me through like what those days look like for you.
All right, yeah. So I guess it was last Saturday was the Nightmare Rumble. So obviously that's a big one. There's a lot to go over and a lot of guys that got to go over it. Excuse me. So Al Snow, the owner or the CEO, told everyone to be there by 2:30 in the afternoon. Show starts at 7, so we're there 4.5 hours early, getting the arena set up, making sure everyone's ready to go. Then when everyone shows up, everyone gets around the ring, and Al Snow starts going over the entrance list, when you're coming out, what the business is when you come out, and who's getting eliminated by who, when, where, and why, kind of thing. So then time goes by, you're going over, so he'll give you like a brief outline. So like for me, I came out fourth, and I was the first guy getting eliminated in the Nightmare Rumble. So the only context I got was come in, go after Mahabali Shera, who was the national heavyweight champion and the heavyweight champion at the time. Go after him, and eventually he's going to eliminate me. So after all that meeting went over, I went over to Shera and talked to him about what we could do to make that moment where it's a little more of an impact than just me coming out, throwing hands with him, and then getting tossed over. And that's what led to us, discussing doing like a, obviously we're not the Rock and Hulk Hogan, but a Rock Hogan type stare down, putting over my size and everything. And, that's a made star helping make a new star is the purpose of that, which I thanked him for because it was something that he didn't have to do for me, but it was definitely appreciated.
Yeah, that was a big moment in that match. So the next question I would like to ask is, how's your training going for strongman?
It's going pretty decent. Deadlifts today were pretty terrible. I had same thing you did, was 675 for 2x1. My technique is just terrible since breaking my leg. So I'm like having a hard time getting pulled over the bar a lot. But on Monday I hit 630 for 2 singles on the SSB squat. Pretty easy, really. I mean, felt like I probably could have hit pretty close to 7 on the day. But yeah, deadlifts have just always been my kryptonite for whatever reason. Planning on doing a show in March, I think.
Are you gonna do the Kentucky Strength Farm show?
I just saw that they posted that today. I'm considering it. I was planning on doing one that's in Alabama. It's a USS Pro Show qualifier. So if you win, then you can qualify for their international pro division or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a paid show, so if you take top 3, then you get some money out of it.
Well, hopefully you don't do Kentucky Strength Farm because I hate competing against you because
Yeah.
I hate competing against my friends. It is what it is. Dakota, do you have any questions for him?
I could probably think of a couple. First one, when's the best time to not wear drawers? Like just sit there with it all hanging out. Like, what do you think the best time for that is?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. When's the best time to what?
Just not wear your drawers. Sit there and just let it all hang out.
Oh, whenever you feel like, I guess.
So,
All right. So, getting your long-term goals would obviously be probably be getting signed to a major promotion, right, for wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that path's a little bit more obtainable than winning World's Strongest Man or anything like that at the moment, because some of these amateurs, like, phew, Lord, they're getting stronger and stronger by the day.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel super weak every time I turn on Instagram, man. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm starting to weigh my options.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Shane talked me into following old JG on Instagram, boy, that makes me feel real weak every now and again.
That'd be a fun dude to have on the podcast.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah,
So
Shane.
before we get done with the question, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you all off there. My bad.
It's all right. Having Shane, Tyler, David, who else is over there? Rosie, having all those guys on the podcast, that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. They're a bunch of characters. So, I mean, that would be Baker, too.
I didn't even mean to leave him out. Yep, Baker as well.
Yeah. He's so short. It's probably why you left him out. Probably didn't see him.
Oh, man, if he listens to this. Go ahead,
So
Cam.
just some closing the questions here, man. Just kind of open the floor here to you. Like somebody that's wanting to look into getting into the wrestling world. Like, what kind of advice would you have for them?
I would say getting on, I want to say it's ovwrestling.com. You can get on there, look at the Al Snow Wrestling Academy part of the page. To my understanding, we're the only like professional wrestling trade school in the world, really, that I know of. So if you do sign up for it, then you can actually, get a associate's degree in professional wrestling, I guess. So, but when you come there, you'll do, pro wrestling training. They'll teach you, I think, if it's still the same as it was when I first got in, then by the time that you graduate, you will leave with like a personal training certification. So you can get jobs at a gym and stuff like that as a personal trainer. And then you also get trained in how to do commentary, how to do writing. So if you're somebody like, I'm not sure which one of you said it, but they mentioned that they love the company and the business and everything, and they wanted to get involved, but weren't athletic enough to do a lot of the moves.
That's
You could
Ken.
get it. Who is it?
Ken.
Ken? Okay, yeah. This thing doesn't have names on here, so I was like, I didn't know who said it, but So if you're not really into the athletic portion or can't do the athletic portion, we'll teach you how to do like the writing portion, so you can write out the shows, write out the storylines and stuff like that. Ring announcer, bell keeper, how to do the lights, how to do the music and jumbotron stuff. You learn a lot coming through there. Or you could be like me and want nothing to do with the business if you're not wrestling and just do the wrestling portion. And we're the Harvard of professional wrestling, so we teach you right. You're going to learn how to be safe, how to have a great time, how to work, because I don't want to speak ill of the indies or anything, but some of these guys you look at out there are they're just not very good.
I'll say it for you. It's dog shit. It's not good.
All
I
these
saw what
backyard
OVW
wrestlers
was.
out there jumping through daggone light tubes and everything else, which that has its place, but its place isn't mainstream pro wrestling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never show too.
Yeah. I mean, I saw what OVW was a few years ago, and it's come so far. It looks amazing now. Al Snow's really done wonders there. But yeah, anything Dakota you want to add?
That is all. That...
All right, this has been the Cheap Pop Wrestling Podcast. This has been a great episode, guys. I had a good time. We'll see you all
Episode
next
streaming
week.
every Saturday.
Yep, I
Don't forget
almost
to check
forgot to
out
plug it
social-
this time too.
Yeah. Don't forget to check out all of our social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We do have a TikTok. So get all your
Yep.
wrestling news.
Yes, definitely check out those. Also, check out the TNJ Sports Podcast. That's our sister program. Yeah, that's all I got to add. Dakota, hope you cut the shit out of